8,583 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered on Fort Bliss. It was a code red. It was internal. It had to do with the leadership there on Fort Bliss and criminal trafficking, which was what Richard was whistleblowing on. And he paid the ultimate price, y'all. And we have breaking news. We have such big news. I'm just kind of shaking because of all the big news and all the connections that are coming together right now and the institutional support that is absolutely uh, huge, huge, coming down the pipe, and um, the epicenter that the new Trump administration is looking at is El Paso for the criminal trafficking. The more they learn, the more they find out about what was going on there in El Paso on Fort Bliss. Um, we have spent 4 years, over 4 years, absolutely documenting everything as fast as we could, as best as we could. I'm getting a paralegal degree out of this whole thing, um, and also a great faith, um, Rob and and I have to absolutely tell you about this. And it's a little bit of a diversion of the breaking news, but I have to tell you, I have to say it. We're doing a Bible class, and you know, I cannot stress enough how important that is to get some real meaty theology. Um, and this course that we're doing is Cassian on the conferences. I mean, you're talking about as meaty as you can get. I mean, it is. Um, well, this latest one is about the eight uh, sins. The eight vices, where the enemy will attack you with these vices. They will try to get you. They will try to entrap you. They will try to make you fall, and they will use it against you. When they entrap you, they'll if you have one little bit of weakness, they will use it against you to destroy you. And if you know what these eight vices are, that you can um, grow and progress on the royal highway. This is what Cassian calls it, the royal highway. And 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 you can move forward. Um, and it's like you have shields around you, as they uh, you know shoot arrows at you of these vices, all kinds. um, and the enemy really plays on your fallen nature. We and I don't want to get into that, but we have these weaknesses, and they really play on it, and that's how they'll try to entrap you. And that's how, um once you once you have one little weakness, that they will use it against you. And so be aware of those things. But at the same time, for a long many years of studying this kind of topic, this kind of theology, this um biblical law to systematic theology to biblical economics to, all of these things. And, uh, and the grace of God through all of this, bringing our family together, keeping our family together. Because this is, when you go through something like this, they'll try to sow seeds of doubt and each and every one of you of your family members. They will, harass you and intimidate you and threaten you and try to make you afraid. And um it's just so many different aspects. Try to make you depressed, get you very tired. uh you know it They'll just try everything, and they'll lie and frustrate you, and they'll make you angry. They'll try to make you very, very angry, with all their evilness, which is also a trap. The avarice, that's also a trap. And so, you have to stay. You're not allowed to move off of that royal highway of faith when you are pursuing justice, right? And the whole thing about this royal highway, with your faith, what is your faith for? For pursuing justice, right? For pursuing justice. Because every word that proceeds from the mouth of God is law word, is just, is righteousness, is why you work so hard to progress in your faith, to grow your faith, so that you can stay on this royal highway, which is the highway of justice, to fight for justice and to overcome whatever arrows of vice that they shoot at you. And so this is so important for people to understand the gratefulness during this Thanksgiving time that the Halliday family, the Team Find Richard Halliday, has for God, um, for his mercy, because the evil, once they entrap you, they have no mercy, none at all, no tolerance, no mercy. They are just hearts of stone, really hearts of stone. And anybody has a heart of stone who could do these things to hundreds of children, which is leading into the breaking news, that could do what they did to Richard. You know, they have to have hearts of stone. And so I had to take a few minutes out to tell you why we're so thankful, coming up to Thanksgiving, how we're so thankful for all of you for supporting us day after day through all of this. I mean, always breaking news. It has been uh, an amazing journey, right? Um, that we have been on this royal highway, shoot, fighting off these arrows and fighting for justice. And we couldn't do it without you, without all of your tips, without all of your knowledge, your unbelievable knowledge in so many different areas. Um, it has just been, we're just very, very grateful. And I'm very moved because of the information that we have received today. And it puts so many things together. And I want to tell you where the Trump campaign, where the new, not even the campaign, sorry, the Trump administration is focused on, right? That's what I want to tell you, and how grateful we are that we had such a solid victory in this last presidential campaign. A solid victory, even within this assault of all of these um, fake media, and you name it, the just all these fake stories and the name calling and everything. um, can you imagine if there was a fair election? President Trump would have been solid. I mean, the whole United States would have been solid red, right? Solid red. I I am absolutely convinced because he everything was against justice. Everything was against it. And the courts and except for the American people, except for the American people, of course, God, one nation under God. They can't get they can't get around that one. And the very hard work of President Trump, you know, you have to admire. Everybody admires his hard work. So it's just been an amazing. It's been just one that you have to take a deep breath when you're in this situation as a Gold Star family that has not received the remains of their loved one. Um, Talk about emotions with that, right? We have not received the remains of our son, and we know that they were very violently abused. We know that that's one of the reasons why they don't want to give us the remains of our son because evidence confirms that they have at least partial remains of our son. Because those remains show the brutality of the murder, and that is evidence. And they don't, they did not want to have, this is a quote, another Guillen situation. Okay, they did not want to have that. And so Sean Bernabe was called in. Matt Locke was whooshed away. Sean Bernabe was called in before we got there. We got there before, he was in briefings, I guess, being trained, being ordered how to deal with the holiday situation because they absolutely had our son's remains. And um, and so Sean Bernabe came in there and he very, very quickly was working with Veronica Escobar, the representative for El Paso there, still there since 2019. She, you know, it seems like as soon as she got in, all hell broke loose when it came to crime, right? And I want to explain what has happened since my live stream earlier today and the live stream right now. This is the breaking news. And, it's going to take me a couple minutes to put it all together, and I'll get better and better as every day goes by. But the criminal group, the rogue criminal group from the initial response team, okay, used primarily, not totally, but primarily, two individuals to target Richard, our family, our key whistleblower witness, the District Attorney Yvonne Rosales' administration, Yvonne Rosales and her administration, Judge Roger Rodriguez, who is the whistleblower witness for the Walmart mass shooting case and also for our case. Primarily, this criminal group from the original response team used two individuals, Leilani Hart, which is the mother of Richard's platoon leader, Dallas Hart, and more connections, and also Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. Use these two individuals primarily, not totally, but primarily, to target both cases. Richard, because before Richard was deceased, but also after, our family, and the Walmart mass shooting. District Attorney Yvonne Rosales looking into that administration, and Judge Roger Rodriguez, the key whistleblower witness for both cases. What do, what do they have in common? Loads. But what is the major offense? Yes, they both have total criminal histories. Okay? They're both up to no good. Right? They're both up to no good. They both have criminal histories, but they both have immigration violations. They are both immigration aliens, right? They are both here illegally, have problems. Both. And it's this immigration problem that allows the laxity of our laws, that allows these individuals with big criminal histories, up to no good, to come into our country. And that's how soldiers die. That's how our soldiers die. That's how elections get tampered with. That's how our school ISDs get compromised. That's how the government agencies get compromised. I could go on and on about the debt raising. There's so many reasons, but who allowed this? What was the laxity? Well, we know it was the Biden administration that absolutely allowed the laxity. Well, it was, of course, the in Richard's case, the Democrats, the leadership there since 2019 that was so hostile towards Trump and his administration in El Paso, and absolutely Representative Veronica Escobar. And her husband, an immigration judge, Michael Pleters. I hope I'm saying that right. Pleters. Absolutely has a conflict of interest. Absolutely was doing her apps. I don't think she was sleeping at night when she was co-chair for the Biden's reelection campaign. She was the co-chair for the Biden's reelection campaign. And she was so loyal to him that as soon as they strong-armed him to end his campaign, she immediately endorsed Kamala Harris and became her co-chair. Immediately. I don't think she hesitated a second. But I don't know. She would have to tell you that. But it was immediate that she then co-chaired Kamala Harris's campaign for President of the United States against Donald Trump. And she has never had a kind word for Donald Trump. And she, even when he was president, with the Walmart mass shooting, I believe that she was so violent against him, and her uh she violent is, what do I mean by violent? I mean, you know, she was so emotionally violent, right? Like, okay, there's a Walmart mass shooting. There's a Walmart mass shooting, and the president of the United States wants to come and offer help. And she is like not willing to meet with him and not willing to work with him at all. What the heck? That is violence to me, emotional violence against her own district, you know? To not have the decency to work with, I mean, we've had to work with Sean Bernabe. I've had to work with Veronica Escobar. I was very kind to her. I did not say any mean things to her. Clearly, uh, that whole mountain thing, the whole cliff, sending Rob on the cliff thing. Um, you know, we could have said a lot of things, but we are willing to work with those that have been given the authority in the positions that have oversight. And Veronica Escobar has oversight of El Paso, of Fort Bliss, of the emergency intake center, of what was going on. Remember, she went down to that other border entrance where Ernest Christopher Grant's friend had was had a job working at. Um, there's a lot of stuff that absolutely, is up to no good, right? Uh, The reactions, it's just so many irregularities that you're just raising your eyebrow and say, "What are you hiding? What are you doing? What are you doing?" But I want to make sure everybody understands this. She is directly responsible for the hundreds of thousands of children that are now missing, unaccounted for, unaccompanied, unaccounted for, and now, as President Trump has said, mostly dead. And why? Because she needed to go to those emergency intake center uh, tents, buildings. It was huge. It was like a little town. Um, and the guards and the information that we have, it was absolutely horrendous and horrid what was going on, an absolute nightmare that was going on in the emergency intake center to these children, okay? To these children, absolutely horrid and horrendous. And I can't even imagine because, I think of unaccompanied children and I just get shivers because who is protecting these children? They are so vulnerable, even up to 17 years old. They are so vulnerable. They're so vulnerable. And even Richard was so vulnerable. That's why we have a chain of command. That's why they're obligated to care for their soldiers, their service members. That's why it's so egregious that they recruit these young soldiers and then they abuse their power. They exploit these soldiers, the bonuses that they get. They bring in these girls during lockdowns and exploit them. They allow the drugs in, they allow the guns in, they allow the alcohol to flow, just like keep them drunk all the time and allow that. They allow just absolutely failure of leadership. They allow it. and they keep them very, very sidetracked, diverted with, remember what Richard said, I'd rather burn my money than spend it on whores and blow. He was saying there was a problem there. You keep these young people diverted with the arrows of vice, with the lust, with the gluttony, with the avarice, with all of these, the pride, the um all of these, they shoot arrows. The very people that and I'm talking about Fort Bliss here, the very people in Richard's chain of command that were responsible and obligated to care for their service members. The command at Fort Bliss, absolutely, they're obligated to care and train and create a ready force, a fighting force, army ready. I've heard that so many times. Army ready, army readiness, war readiness. That they are obligated for esprit de corps. They're obligated for the creeds, the morality. They're the morale and the morality. They're obligated for this, and yet they have been driving them downward into the depths of vices and vulgar, uh, you know, um, unreadiness, right? Unreadiness, so that they won't see what's going on at the emergency intake center, where they absolutely commit their crimes. And Veronica Escobar has oversight of that and allowed that to happen. And those that targeted Richard with immigration problems, right? She had oversight of that and allowed that to happen. She allowed the Leilani Hart to happen. She allowed the Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia to happen. She allowed them not only to target Richard and our family, but also the district attorney Yvonne Rosales. She allowed that all to happen. And don't forget, she approved the funding of the sabotage of the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court by unelected individuals that are supposed to be elected, right? She paid them even though they were not elected. And she was there, uh, you know, after 2015 when it all changed and the change was that El Paso County, um, a, the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court was given full countywide jurisdiction in 2015. Before then, it only had partial jurisdiction. With partial jurisdiction, you can have appointed judges. With full countywide jurisdiction, the power is too great. Those judges must be elected by the people. This is the Texas Constitution, Article 5, Section 30. Article 5, Section 30 under Texas Law 54.732. Okay? You can look it up. So she absolutely, as county judge, absolutely approved these imposters, improved the sabotage of the court, that these saboteurs acting as judges were not loyal to the people, to those that elected them, were not accountable to those that elected them because they weren't elected. They were like Penny Hamilton. They were loyal to whoever appointed them. And in Penny Hamilton's case, it was Judge Medrano. Judge Medrano appointed Penny Hamilton to the court to arraign Patrick Crusius. Wow. Wowzer. And it was Veronica Escobar that uh, was there as a representative, knowing because before she was elected to Congress, she was the county judge. It's like county mayor. She doesn't have a law degree, but county judge. And she approved the funding, right? So, as representative, she knew how it all worked and she allowed it to happen. Then, also with key witnesses, she prevented um, a congressional hearing on Richard's case. In Richard's case, we had a request for a congressional. In Richard's case, she prevented it. Also, she had the duty to have a congressional hearing on the camps before the emergency intake center and on the emergency intake center. And and then, of course, with her husband, she has some big conflicts of interest. But, you know, all eyes are on Veronica Escobar. She's a main player of this epicenter of criminal trafficking, main player. Who supported her? Who backed her up? Okay. I think that's what they want to know. And she is absolutely accountable, or I guess it's liable. Um, Please tell me the right legal words. But she is a representative. She's the one that's lax on immigration. Leilani Hart was there because of lax immigration. Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia was there because of lax immigration laws. They are illegal aliens with criminal histories. And wow. This is how soldiers die. This is how elections are tampered with. This is how we have obstruction of justice and all of the games, the sex cults, the, you know, the immense vices that are used to entrap people. And don't forget their associates. Both Leilani Hart and Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia's associates have immigration problems, okay? And Veronica Escobar has a lot to answer for. And she, as we heard earlier today, they are absolutely the eye of justice is shining on El Paso, is looking hard at El Paso. It's coming down the pipeline and it's focused on El Paso. And where are these children? Where did they go? How are they mostly dead? Why are they mostly dead? Because you have to remember, these children did not get lost at Cielo Vista Mall, right? They did not get lost at one of the parks. They did not get lost there. They were registered. They were each registered. I was told numbers written on their clothes, numbers written on their skin, They were registered there at Fort Bliss, at Fort Bliss. And let me tell you, my son, no way would he look the other way to that. No way. Nope. And he had to pay the ultimate price. He's a hero. He did not bend the knee. He did not uh he did not go along with this Vanity Fair, this criminal trafficking. And I'm so proud of him for that. I really am proud of him for that. And he was targeted for his Christian faith, for his, because that was absolutely what was behind him standing so firm against all of the arrows of vice that they were shooting at him with the Belen Roches, with the drink, with the drugs, with the this, with the that, and they couldn't get him. They couldn't. What was happening? The body cam video showed him at attention, respectfully. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He was so beautiful. He dodged the arrows of all these vices. And finally, it took them forcibly removing him from his barracks room. It took a code red to kill him because they could not discredit him. And it could not have happened without Leilani Hart and Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia and the lax immigration, the very lax immigration stances, violations of Veronica Escobar. It could not have happened because her power is incredible. And she could have done the oversight of Fort Bliss. She could have done the oversight of the emergency intake centers that are on Fort Bliss. She could have done the oversight of the camps. She could have followed the immigration laws of this country. And Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia wouldn't be there, not with their criminal background. And Leilani Hart wouldn't be there. And my son would still be alive. And so would hundreds of thousands of children. Hundreds of thousands of children, and I think many, many more. And so we really are grateful today for getting this information that, of course, the border czar, Tom Homan, right away after he was appointed, named El Paso as the epicenter for the criminal trafficking. And we're very grateful today that we got word that what is being looked at is who is in trouble for very good reasons. Can you imagine? Her husband is an immigration judge. The conflicts of interest, can you believe it? She interfered with the soldier that wanted to do a congressional on Richard, and she refused. She also is the one that said that she was going to get the FBI involved. Now we understand that Jesus Eddie Nieto Jr. Is being very heavily scrutinized. and also, and his wife is on intelligence on Fort Bliss too. I mean, when you think of the Nadal Baim connection, um, and it just makes you wonder, uh, because remember the cashier, oh, he's a foreigner, he's a foreigner. And look, my mother, I was born at White Sands Missile Range. My mother, that was her first experience in the United States. She came legally. She didn't speak any English. I know all about immigrants, right? I know all about immigrants. My mother didn't speak any English. That's why they belong to the German American Club there in El Paso. And she started ironing soldiers' uniforms for extra money. And she would watch uh, General Hospital. I should get her on one time. General Hospital and As World Turns and all those day shows while she was ironing, and learned English. She studied very, very hard. She gave up uh, her citizenship to become an American citizen. She learned all about the United States. She did it the right way, and she loves this country. My dad was there in El Paso confirming how much our family loves this country. And we are a family of immigrants. Richard was born in Poland. He grew up in Ireland. He was the distinguished honor graduate for his cycle in basic training from Longford, Ireland. We know all about legal immigration and the love for this country. And he joined the military voluntarily and became the distinguished honor graduate for his cycle in basic training and advanced individual training. He was aspiring to be the best that you can be, to be all that you can be, to be an army of one. Yet they targeted him to dismember him because they wanted to protect their criminal enterprise, exploiting children and harming children. And Richard would have none of it. And Veronica Escobar, she had the power to stop it, and she didn't. And then she became think about this, the co-chair for the Harris campaign to keep it going, to keep this vice, this deadly criminal syndicate going. And so we're very grateful that we received this news today. And we can tell you firsthand that what we heard, not a lie. We have so much evidence, and we turned it in. And now people much smarter than us have been able to have a head start in stopping these vicious crimes going on at the border in our beautiful city of El Paso. Thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back.